This episode of CU Live is sponsored by our friends at MORPC, the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, and features stories about local and regional partners that envision and embrace innovative directions in economic prosperity, transportation, sustainability, and an inclusive Central Ohio. MORPC's transformative programming, innovative services, and public policy initiatives are designed to promote and support the vitality and growth in the region. For more information, visit morpc.org or click the link in the video description.
I'm Susan Post, Associate Editor of Columbus Underground. Today I have with me Kerstin Carr, Director of Planning and Sustainability at MORPC. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Susan, for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about a really exciting project that's happening in Central Ohio, the Rapid 5 project. So to start, just give us an overview of what Rapid 5 is.
I'd be happy to. Rapid 5 is such a cool project. It's really a vision for Central Ohio of how our waterways could be knitted together to create, ideally, the largest interconnected Greenspace system in the country. And so a few months ago, the Urban Land Institute of Columbus and MORPC got together and we hired the Neighborhood Design Center and 5 really talented local design firms to help create ideas and drawings for each river corridor of how it could be reimagined, reactivated, and also connected back to the neighborhoods. And so over a very short time frame, honestly, like they had 6 weeks. But they were able to do a lot of research in that time, pull in different stakeholders, get information, and then come up with these conceptual drawings that were not only innovative, but also so thoughtful about making sure that we honor the history and culture of these river corridors, that we're responsible to our environment, and most importantly, that we make sure it's truly an amenity that is available for all our residents here in Central Ohio.
Yeah, and remind folks what those 5 corridors are.
Oh, good question. Yes. So from west to east, it's the Big Darby, the Scioto River Corridor, the Olentangy River Corridor, the Alum Creek, and then the Big Walnut.
Great. I'm a big kayaker of the Big Darby Corridor, so personally I'm like super excited about this. But taking a step back, can you tell us a little bit about how the idea for this project developed?
That's an excellent question, and honestly, I gotta give big kudos to Keith Myers, who leads the real estate department at OSU. He also was the president at Urban Land Institute in Columbus for the past 2 years. He's an incredible visionary here in Central Ohio. He was instrumental for the Scioto Mile and a lot of other large-scale projects. And so when he came to us, we got immediately excited because not only is it a great idea, but it was extremely complementary to a vision that we had already laid out, which is called Central Ohio Greenways. And so with that vision, we're trying to add 500 more miles of regional trails to Central Ohio. We already have 230 regional trail miles. That doesn't even account for the hundreds of local miles that we have within our individual communities. And just really thinking about creating this large, interconnected pedestrian and bicycle network that provides access for people to get to places. And so Rapid 5 and Central Ohio Greenways vision were such a great complementary efforts where COG or Central Ohio Greenways provides the linear connections within the green space and to the green space, and Rapid 5 is about expanding the green spaces and activating it and providing more amenities in it.
Great. So you've mentioned greenways, but I know that blueways are also kind of a terminology associated with this project. So can you tell us a little bit about the difference between those and kind of what the uses are for both?
Yeah, and those are fun terms, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty easy to define. Greenways is kind of the surface area, the surface trail, the park system, and then blueways is the water and the water trails. And ideally, when we get to the big vision of Central Ohio, we'll have different kayak launch spots available, and you can bike to an access point on the river, hop on a kayak, paddle down the river, and then get out and grab a bite to eat or visit a concert or something.
Great. So this project was initially announced in late 2019, and then of course, hello global pandemic. So what kind of setbacks and opportunities did you see arise for the Rapid 5 project during the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, and honestly, I think most of all, the pandemic showed us how important green space is to our residents. across the country and locally here, including metro parks. They've seen an incredible increase in people using our parks, using the trails. They want more. And obviously during the pandemic, when we were all stuck in our homes, we were like, let's get out. I want to see some
Outside's like the one thing you can safely do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so these trails and park spaces provided such great opportunities for safe social interaction, for physical activity, but also just mental health.
Yeah, so you think that's something that, we'll continue to see more popularity with people getting outside. It's here to stay?
I think that is absolutely here to stay, yes.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what the next step in the process is for this project.
Yeah, so we just launched it about a month ago.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time to process all the great ideas that these firms put forth. We also want to make sure that the public at large is informed about it, that they know about it, that they continue to provide feedback for us. And also that it's such a great vehicle and tool to let them know that we already have great amenities here. So that's obviously a very immediate step. Our local governments are all really interested in seeing how these visions fit into their comprehensive planning efforts as well. So I think what we'll see soon is them grabbing onto low-hanging fruit that are easily and cost-effectively implementable, like infrastructure or furniture that can be put in parks, art installations, better connections for pedestrians and bicycles. And then long term, I would say MORPC is there. We're going to continue to facilitate conversations, not only about how do we implement that vision, but how do we make sure it's integrated with all these other regional initiatives that are going on that are just as cool, like Link Us and Central Park Greenways and the regional housing strategy. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to have all these separate initiatives happening. We want to make sure that we put them together and create a high quality of life for every single resident here in Central Ohio.
And wasn't it mentioned in the project that you hope that everyone would be within, a mile and a half of a park or a waterway, I guess is the right term?
Well done, yes.
I did my research now. So you touched on a couple of my last questions, but so first of all, can you tell us a little bit about how people that are excited about this project, how they can get involved in some of these next steps or provide feedback? What does that look like?
Yeah, and I'm hoping maybe you can show that on the screen, but rapid5.org is the main project website. So you can go there, learn more about each of these visions, but then also it allows you to go to an interactive map where you can drop comments, draw lines, and fill out a survey as well.
Nice. So you mentioned some of that low-hanging fruit we might start seeing sooner rather than later. So when might be the earliest that, locals can partake in any first phase of this project?
Whew, you're putting me on the spot.
People are excited.
I know. And you know what? You guys should put the pressure on us and the communities to really move forward with this. I would say that we probably see small implementation happening within the next year easily. That's great. And then, larger projects put forth over the coming 5 to 10 years.
Perfect. Well, Kerstin, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit more about Rapid 5. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.